Well, this is Manish Verma. In this video, we will discuss about front-end concepts, which is actually confused a lot of beginners, like which front-end technologies are there in market and what we need to do to deal with this front-end technology. So in this video, I will cover some basic things like what is HTML, CSS, JS, Ajax. But make sure here I will cover these both all thing in depth. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, HTML. What is the HTML? HTML basically used to structure the document by using elements and tags. So let's go on to the HTML first. So as you can see the theory, like HTML is a markup language that defines the structure of your content. It consists series of HTML element which are used for the purpose. But here we have few confusions like what is hypertext, what does mean of doc type which we are including in the beginning of the HTML document, and what is the current version which we are using in the market. Like the developers are using HTML, but what is the current version and the latest version? So first question is hypertext means. Hypertext is nothing but in whenever we are building the document like text within text. The short meaning of the hypertext is text within text. Means whenever as we know that when we are building HTML document, in that we have a tags, and in a tag we have attribute which is h reference to redirect the user to another web page. So which means it has another text or another web page in a web page, which is useful to redirect to the user in another page. That's the meaning of hypertext. And let's move on to the doc type. What is the meaning of doc type? Doc type is not nothing but it's used to display or to provide the current version to the browser, like to send the current version to the browser. And it's also used to structure the document or HTML document in a proper manner. But the main purpose of doc type to send or to provide the current version of the HTML to the browser. And what is the current version in the market? Currently we are using HTML5, which has a number of new tags, and we can use it to make our website responsive and more performant in an efficient way. So yeah, we can discuss about the HTML5. So what is this HTML5? HTML5 nothing but it is the newest version of hypertext markup language, and it has, as I aforementioned, that it has some new tags like header, footer, nav, audio, video, main, which actually useful to structure our web page in a very structureful, in a very standard way, which create the powerful benchmark as compared to HTML5. As you can see the image like versus between HTML5 and HTML5, sorry, HTML4. In HTML4 we had used like a header with div, post with div, menu with div, and footer within div, which actually not a powerful thing and actually not a very good way to build the website. But in today's world we have HTML5 to build the website header with specific tags like header, nav, article, footer, main, which is useful for the accessibility as well, and it's also helpful to build the responsive website. So let's move on to the last topic of the HTML, which is DHTML. What is DHTML? Actually, the meaning and full form of DHTML is hypertext markup, the dynamic hypertext markup language, which is actually useful to create the interactive website. And if I say like interactive website means in that website we have number of technologies or web technologies, and like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Ajax, PHP, backend like MySQL. This is the combination, these combination called DHTML. As you can see in the image, like HTML is the content, used for content. CSS is used for style rules, and JS is used for scripting language, which is actually helpful for manipulating the things. And these combination is useful to create the to create the DHTML concept, and this whole technology helped to create the interactive website which is useful to interact with the user in a very seamless way. And it makes sure that DHTML is not not any language, and it is not any programming language, but it is introduced by the Microsoft with the fourth version of Internet Explorer in 1997. So this is it is just a web technology with the combination of web tools, web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's move on to the CSS. I am covering this basic concept, like basic introduction about the CSS quickly. Like in CSS, CSS is just a style sheet to create the style for the document and give the style to the document to showcase something in an interactive way, which means we have number of things in the CSS to build the CSS file, like p, which p is the tag which is used in HTML, and if I want to style that p tag in the HTML, we can then I need to create the CSS, which means selector p and color property, which and the value of the color is property value. This whole thing is declaration, and these all thing will called rule set. What is the meaning of rule set? Rule set is nothing but it is a rule which is created by CSS and helpful to create the style sheet. And uh, and if we need to follow and we have to follow these rule set to create the style for the HTML document. If we do not follow, then it will definitely not run or not execute in the browser. Let's come on to the CSS3. Then what is the CSS3? And what is the comparison between CSS and CSS3? CSS3 provides JavaScript and mobile development feature with additional features such as transition, gradient, border radius, and many more. CSS is the latest version and support the responsive design. As you can see, the development velocity statistic, like a production time is in CSS is far higher than CSS3. So the faster is about 33% of CSS3. Size of a CSS is far high as compared to CSS3. So as faster about 9.5 smaller of CSS3, and the request is going around 12 in CSS3, but in CSS is 22, which means more far as compared to CSS3. So that's why we are using CSS3 in the market, and that's why they have CSS3, which is much helpful and a much powerful technology or tool to use. As we know that latest version is always far better than previous version. JavaScript is a JavaScript. Now I am covering the basic topic of JavaScript, like what is JavaScript. JavaScript is a lightweight object-oriented programming language that is used by the several websites for scripting the web page. JavaScript is not a compiled language, which means it is not a compiled language, but it is a translated language, and the JavaScript translator embedded in the browser is responsible for the translating the JavaScript code for the web browser. Means it is responsible to translate or execute the whole code in the browser, and with JavaScript we can create the website in a more dynamic and more interactive way, which in which user can easily use this website, and we developers can easily optimize the website. Okay, and we can also do some automation, like we can show the input field value. We can give the response by the getting of value from the user. This kind of thing means semi automatic and automated thing which we can do by using of JavaScript. But what is the JavaScript? How JavaScript execute in the browser? What is the JavaScript engine? So as you can see in the picture, JavaScript engine is nothing but it has some components which is actually used to run the engine and give the bytecode to the machine to execute that JavaScript file and give the result to the user. But the beginning of the JavaScript file is it is the JavaScript file. Then that JavaScript file go to the JavaScript engine. and this JavaScript engine has few components in it, which the first component name is parser. And in the parser, what will happen? Parser will execute the file and fetch or inspect the error. If there is an error, then it will showcase that error to the developer, like to and terminate the execution. And then developer need to debug the error to go on to the next stage. If there is not any error, then what will happen? The next stage will be AST, which means abstract syntax tree. Okay, in abstract syntax tree, what it will do, it will create the structure in a tree format, which for example, if I build a code in a JavaScript file about if condition, then what will happen in here, in upper block there is a if condition, like if age equals to 18, then if not else, if age not equals to 18, what will be print? If yes, age equals to 18, then what will be print? So this is the tree format, and which I have given as an example, which will follow by AST. Okay, and in the next stage, conversion to machine code, which will helpful to convert the JavaScript code to machine code, and which is the understandable code by the machine. And we can also say that the machine code means byte code, and it is, as we know, that machine using binary code to understand the instruction from the developer or from the owner of the computer. Okay, and then what will happen? Machine code will convert it to the byte code. Sorry, to convert to the machine code or byte code to send the system for execution, and then finally it will display the result to the user, which means it will execute the file of JavaScript in front of the user in the which is in browser. Okay, so this is the basic functionality, and this is the basic JavaScript engine concept which we must know. And lot of developers, lot of programmers who are already using JavaScript for a long time, but then also they do not know about what is the JavaScript engine, how JavaScript engine work. And we must know about this topic because this topic is very popular in interview. In front end, we need in front end there are a lot of big companies like Facebook, Google, Microsoft asking like what is the JavaScript engine, and how many components in the JavaScript engine, and how JavaScript file execute with the help of JavaScript engine. So this is the basic and very important foundation to make it strong. Let's move on to the next topic, Ajax. With the Ajax is a thing like a cherry on a cake, which is actually helpful to make our website more faster. Like Ajax is an acronym for an synchronized JavaScript and XML. It is a group of interrelated technology like JavaScript, DOM, XML, HTML, CSS, and the most important thing is XML HTTP request. So why Ajax we required? Ajax is actually allow us to send and receive data asynchronously without reloading the entire web page. So it is very fast. Okay, so this is the meaning of Ajax, and that's why we need Ajax to make our website more fast and performant. Like we are building a lot of big websites, big web application, but we need constant connection with the server, and constant constant updation or upgradation of the component, and any element constantly. So that's why we need Ajax to update these kind of elements and components constantly. So yeah, the Ajax very helpful. Let's discuss the Ajax in very in a very proper way. Before going to the asynchronous concept, we need to discuss about the synchronous. Like what is the synchronous? Synchronous is nothing but a synchronous request block the client until the operation complete, like until the web page completely reload. And it means browser is unresponsive. In such a case, JavaScript engine of the browser is blocked. JavaScript engine of the browser is blocked means when I want to update any component, like suppose here I want to update the component, then I click on a button, then what it will do, it will reload entire page and it block my page for a while to until the component will update, and then it will showcase whole thing again and again to me whenever I repeat that kind of thing again and again. So as I told you, this is a very lazy and high latency operation. That's why we do not require to do this kind of thing again and again. It's a very old concept. That's why we need to move to asynchronous. If I discuss this concept in a practical way, then you can see here like this is a client and web page images web server. This is a client. It will get the web page images from the server at the initial moment. Whenever he or she update the value of update the update something in the UI, then what it will do, it will do the request to the server, and that request will go with the data with database with data query, and database will respond that kind of thing to the web server, and the web server will give the whole thing again, which means it will load all kind of stuffs again and again. This is a very headache and very low performance thing. Let's move on to the asynchronous. Asynchronous request does not block the client. It means browser is responsive. At that time, the user can perform another operation also. In such a case, JavaScript engine of the browser is not blocked. It means whenever, as you can see here, like whenever user browser UI will get any event like I need to update this kind of thing, that event will go to the Ajax engine, and then whenever Ajax engine get any event, then that event will go to the server, and server process it, transfer the data to that Ajax engine, and that Ajax engine will update that on that UI only, which means it will only update the specific UI or respective UI without reloading entire page. So that's why the asynchronous technology is very helpful and very useful in the market, and we are using asynchronous technology for a long time, and it's also helpful to perform increase the performance of the website. And but nowadays we have more technologies compared to Ajax, and which is also far good as compared to Ajax, like Promises is actually very helpful. Let's move on to the next thing, like in a practical way, which we can discuss. In this picture, which we can see, like in the initial movement, user will get the web page and other kind of stuffs, and then user will request any kind of thing with their web page. Then what it will happen, it will send that kind of HTTP request to the web server, and that the web server will process the query and operation, and then it will send the response to the client. But here you can see like this is the image is not it this image is wrong, in which it is showing like new web page images. But here what it need to show, it need to show the current data only, like what user was requested, and that data only will user get to update he or she's UI. So this is the asynchronous technology, and that's why it is very popular in the market. And I also insist you to work on the Ajax, which are actually helpful to get the knowledge about how asynchronous technology work. And yes, we have a lot more technology in the market, like Promises, Fetch API, which helpful to deal with the modern web tools, and modern way like to the server or serverless things. But Ajax is also very popular. So yes, this is the end of the video. And if you have any query, then please mention your query in the comment section so I can reply you as soon as possible. But this is the basic front-end concept video, which is actually necessary for the beginner to start the career as a front-end developer, or know about how front-end works. It is not just about the front-end developer. It is about the whole mobile application or web application developer to know about then he or she want to know about like how front end technology work, what is the Ajax, what is the JavaScript, what is the server. So I hope it will help you a lot. And if you want new videos, then please mention the title of the video in the comment section so I can make the video soon. So thank you so much. See you soon in the next video. Till then, take care.